What is a rule set and what is a campaign in RPGSmith? When you first create an RPGSmith account, you're created as a player account. Player accounts can be used to create characters to play just about any tabletop RPG. But which RPG is determined by what rule set you have selected. So a rule set is essentially what game you're going to play. Here on the rule set interface for a player account, we have 3 shown: Pathfinder, Savage Worlds, and Dungeons and Dragons. With a player account, when you go to create a character, you're asked for which rule set you would like that character created. Now, encompassed in a rule set are general settings. These control things like what dice is used with this game. You have character stats, which dictate the different stats characters joined to this rule set have. This isn't the value of those stats. This is just defining what stats the characters would possess. Then you have various different record types. So what spells are in this game, what items are in this game, what abilities, what buffs and effects are also in this rule set. You also have default layouts. Now this is the default dashboard or default character sheet that's provided to new characters created within this rule set. And from this interface below, you could also see any characters that currently exist and are created within this rule set. By default, you're allowed 3 rule sets for your account. You can purchase additional slots if you want to create additional rule sets. Now, if you were to convert or upgrade your player account to a GM account, any rule sets you currently have and any rule set slots you have purchased would be converted to campaigns or campaign slots. Campaigns are essentially rule sets for GM accounts. Where rule sets are created and designed for a single player character use and perspective, campaigns are designed from a GM perspective. So campaigns have all the same features that rule sets do, but they have some additional items as well. There's a chat interface used to connect all players joined to this campaign. The character listing here at the bottom, whereas before it would just show the character name, now it also shows the account that that character is associated with. Here we see this character Conrad associated with this account. Now they're grayed out because they're not currently logged in and joined to this campaign, whereas this character is, as shown by the less grayed out version of the image here. Now, if you're also observant, you'll notice that this character is controlled by the GM. So as a GM, you can create a character, join it to your existing campaign, and play alongside your players. In addition to the other record types for rule sets like items, spells, abilities, buffs, and effects, you have some new record types for campaigns such as monster templates, monsters, loot pile templates, and loot. You also have a handout section if you want to provide documents to your players. You have the ability to control what players have access to do to some extent through the player controls option. You also have access to a GM dashboard to keep notes or whatever other information you'd like to track there. Again, we have character stats defined at this campaign level. Default layouts is the same as it is with rule sets. You're defining the default interface or the default dashboard that new characters joined or created within this campaign will have. With a campaign, you also have access to what we think is the best combat and initiative tracker on the market. Check out the help section on that. And then lastly, you have access to the GM dice interface. Now there are 3 methods to generate a new campaign or new rule set within your account. If you access the rule set or campaign interface, provided you have a slot available, you'll have a new campaign or new rule set option. If you click this, you'll be presented with those before mentioned 3 different options. The first one is Add Rule Set. Selecting this would take you to a list of existing core rule sets. A core rule set is a rule set that the RPGSmith team has created and provided to you. Many of these are free, some of them do cost. All of them are going to contain pre-created content ready for your consumption in the form of items, spells, abilities, monsters, character stats, default dashboards and layouts, all ready to go. All you have to do is select it and it's instantly created on your account. Now, another cool thing about core rule sets is if you add one into your account, if we were to go back and make an update, say fix a typo in any of the records or add new items or add new monsters, since you're associated with that core rule set, those would automatically get added to the version on your account. The next method to generate a new campaign or rule set would be to create a rule set. This is the option you'd want to select if you wanted to create one from scratch. There's no records, there's no character stats. Nothing is added to this by default. You define everything. And the last method would be to import a rule set. If you know of another RPGSmith user who's created an awesome rule set, you could use this import rule set method to get a copy of theirs at that point in time. Now, a slight difference between this and the add a rule set, any updates we make to the core rule set would propagate down to your version, but by importing rule set, you're taking a copy at that point in time. So any updates the originating user makes would not be reflected on your version. And lastly, through this interface, we also have manage options, which are pretty consistent with other screens. You can edit or access the general settings for this campaign or rule set from here. You can duplicate or make a copy of it, providing you have an available slot. And you can also delete the rule set or campaign.